going to be working with here. And apologize for our traffic noise here. I don't know if you hear it, but it like goes right into these here. I know all of you. Now you know each other. Some of you have never met, and this is cool because I've been working with all but you for several years. So this is a cool thing. I want to start off first. Thank you very much for your enthusiasm coming out here to talk about this initiative that we're starting here at KVCC. So let me just give you some background so we're all on the same page. A couple years ago, we wrote a grant to enhance and support and essentially expand the capacity of the mental health program, to grow the mental health program, to try and meet the criteria, meet the demand that's out there for MHRTCs. In that original grant, we looked at enhancing the technology, anticipating from what we knew about the field that individuals working in the field would be using mobile devices, that mobile applications were the onboarding initiative that's going to happen in the field. And it hasn't totally happened yet, but we wanted to be a little bit ahead of that wave. So in the original language of the grant, I put a lot of stuff about enhancing the curriculum with multimedia, enhancing, reviewing all of the courses to have mobile learning incorporated into there, and left it sort of vague, in terms of grant language, about what we're actually going to do. So since we got that grant, we've been initiating different parts of it. And all of you know that we now have Wendy St. Pierre here as she's part of that grant. We have a student navigator part of that grant, and some of you have been very deeply involved. David and Liam and Rebecca involved in the creation of new content and getting all of those lesson plans up there and establishing a curriculum, not just a syllabus, really establishing the curriculum for these classes and building on it. Now we're at the point where we're thinking, okay, now how are we really going to do this M-learning thing? This e-learning has become M-learning, so mobile learning, as opposed to just using a computer. So this is an M-learning initiative. The actual official title is, technology prep for the 21st century workplace, or something like. There's some bizarre name that would come up for it because we can't say iPad. So essentially, in the nuts and bolts, it comes down to if we teach using mobile devices, then our students will be better prepared to use mobile devices in the workplace. That's it. That's really all we're doing. So now comes the rubber hits the road sort of part of this whole thing. Right now, the plan is that in spring 2016, this coming January, we're going to require that every student, this is kind of how the language is probably going to go, we're going to require every student who is taking a mental health class, an MHT designated class, will need to have an iPad. Steve and I and Kevin Casey are going to work on a document that we're going to put out there that has the minimum requirements in terms of processor speed, the amount of memory, and what we anticipate what the students need based on the applications that you are going to pick as part of your curriculum. So we're going to put that out. We're going to have some focus groups. I'm hoping that my MHT 101 instructors right here are going to help us with that, and of course faculty coming in and bringing some groups in to answer those questions about why did we pick the iPad versus an Android device, or why are we even doing this? What is the evidence out there that truly the industry is moving toward M-learning or M applications? And so we want to make sure that people know why we're doing this, because we're asking them to spend some money. Part of why we're going to do it is what I'm going to be asking you folks to do as the content engineers of our program. is to take a look at your own courses and the courses that you will anticipate teaching in the spring, and help make this an initiative that works. I equate this sort of like to a textbook. They're buying a textbook, they're buying a digital device that has information and whatnot. And just like a textbook, and all of us have been in school here, many of us for a very, very long time, and we've probably taken courses sometimes where you buy a textbook and the instructor doesn't use it, or they barely use it. You use two chapters out of it, and you're sitting there, and I'm out $150 on this thing, yeah, to 200, 300 now, and that's irritating. What I don't want to have happen is one of our mental health students to say, okay, I got my iPad, I went to class, we never used it. That's what I'm trying to avoid. In order to do that, I'm going to need, it just can't be me. It has to be a collective and really contextual to each class, looking at each one of these classes and finding out what are some ways that we can not only use the device because we're making them buy it, which I guess that's part of the motivation, but that we use it to make our classes better. This is not just a toy. This is something where we can rethink some of the things that we do in class, do them slightly different, and in fact, produce a better outcome. Better learning outcomes, but also potentially better evidence. That's going to be one of the things that we're going to be really concentrating on, is the evidence of learning. So maybe it's fun and engaging, and we're going to measure that. Certainly, sometimes the things that we do on an iPad may be more fun and engaging than we would have done in our normal class. That's one measure, engagement. The other measure is people learning better. Or, kind of put a slash on that, learning better, do we have better evidence that they learned? So for example, for a number of years I incorporated, and some of you painfully sometimes went through this, I incorporated WebEx technology into the interviewing and counseling class. As arduous as that was, what we ended up with better evidence. I had videotaped conversations and counseling and supporting sessions of students performing their actual skills on video. This is not a reflection paper, it's not a check sheet to make sure they did everything. This is the real deal, and we have that. So that those assignments, actually, they may not have, doing it on video may have not made Jenna a better interviewer or a better counselor, but I have better evidence about what she can do because I have that video now. And that's something that I have, but it's also something that Jenna has.
Yeah, put it in a portfolio.
Yep, for part of the portfolio, which is going to be, that'll come up later, the whole digital portfolio thing. So that's sort of like the crux of what we're doing here. Is, and what this summit is about is to get you thinking about how you can enhance your own classes by using this device. So in spring 2016, it all starts. We issued the iPads. They meet these criteria, so your students come to your class, or they're logging into your class, they got this device, now what do we do? So the initiative has two parts. We are going to continue for the foreseeable future. We have one more, I'll say it this way, we have one more year on the Blackboard license. We may explore using a different learning management system, like Blackboard, one that may be more friendly with the iPad, if Blackboard fails to meet our criteria. The iPad works different than a regular computer, so we want to make sure that our learning management system is up to task. In your class, all of you who are teaching for me know that we use Blackboard intensively. What we want to do is to make some modifications. And I'll go into what those details are. Modifications to what we have in Blackboard for both our online and face-to-face classes that take advantage of the iPad. At the same time, I've created an iTunes U course for every single course in the mental health program. And iTunes U is a service, a free service provided by Apple that allows you to create a class. It has a lot of tools, it has some discussions, it has, some of the things that we would see in Blackboard. It's not as robust as Blackboard. It doesn't have as robust a grade book. It doesn't have as robust a way of evaluating discussions and all that. So we're not abandoning Blackboard. We're going to start teaching on iTunes. The iTunes courses that have been established for the mental health program are designed to be companion courses. So students will go to their Blackboard course for the majority of the material that they have to contend with. The iTunes U class, for each one of the classes they're taking, is a companion where they will find the books, materials, and the apps specific to that class. In the design of those iTunes U courses, I went and designed a template. Probably anybody who's been designing with me, you know what that's all about. We designed a template, and I put in there some standard apps that we think everybody's going to use in every class. Those are already in there, links to those, and if they need them, they're in their iPad, and you're going to be doing this because you're going to be adding iTunes U to your current iPad right now. You look in the course, and you're going to see apps that are for every course. They click on the app, and it downloads to their device. There's another section inside each one of these iTunes U courses that you need to fill out. What are the apps and resources that are specific to your class, to mental health and aging, or to crisis intervention, or any one of them in substance abuse? What are the apps that are out there in the world, or the resources or PDFs or whatever, books, that you think are specific to your class? So in January, when the students, they'll log into Blackboard and they'll get material, they'll also add the iTunes U companion course to their iPad, and in that iTunes U course, they're going to find all the apps and the books and whatnot that you have selected and standardized for that class. That's an evolving process. Right now, we're in a deep experimental basis right now. I want you to play. That's ultimately what you play. I want you to be able to try things out, see how they work. Let them fail. There's nothing that teaches us more than something that fails. You're like, oh, I tried that activity. I'm never doing that again. We've all had that experience. You're walking out and everybody's wondering, well, okay, once in a while I really don't feel I got my money's worth, and today's one of those days. And so, a sign. The quest today is to get you thinking about the courses that you're teaching now and about the courses you anticipate teaching in the spring. And while Steve is doing your orientation, I'm actually, for the sake of the full-time instructors and the part-time, and the people who are teaching the regular MHT classes and for you three, I'm going to go and get my laptop and work a little bit on the spring schedule so that you can anticipate what you're going to be teaching in the spring. Dave and I have already talked about the live and face-to-face, the live and online section, so that you can get those iTunes U classes too. And so we're going to give you at the end of this the goal. The goal is here. That what we want you to do is, for all of you who are anticipating, for all of you who are teaching face-to-face classes, what I'm going to be asking every instructor who's teaching a face-to-face class coming in the spring, start working on now, is to come up with 2 unique uses of the iPad in the face-to-face classroom, a minimum. If you want to come up with 17, knock yourself out. And to come up with an activity is to come up with a plan, the app, the materials, whatever it is that you need to pull that off, and that's ready to go. by spring. 2 activities. It can be a group activity. It can be, like we're going to demonstrate today, the use of, if you're familiar with the clicker technology, you can have people response system. There's a response system that's free in here that's built into the iPad, and Steve's going to be demonstrating that with you today. It's called Socrative, and you can have games, you can have Jeopardy kind of things like that, and people can be using their iPad to answer questions live in class. It can be something like that. It could be simply using Keynote to have groups of students do presentations in class. Whatever it is, but it's kind of put together so your face-to-face class incorporates 2 unique uses of the iPad that you feel will really fit with your teaching style and the content of the class, of course.
Okay.
So, online people have to come up with 5 unique uses of the iPad. And again, it's that same sort of thing. It could be a project that they do. Instead of it, you may look at existing assignments that are already in there and you say, well, instead of asking an essay question, I'm simply going to have them record themselves verbally presenting their answer. And they have to post that on YouTube and put the link into the class. And they have this camera now that they have. And that would be wonderful. You're taking this non-face-to-face environment and putting a face to the name and getting people to use technology to communicate. Whatever application you find. So this is going to be the expectation of every face-to-face and online instructor leading into January, so that all 10 classes in the curriculum, all the online versions had 5 activities, and all the face-to-face versions are planning to have 2 activities. And you know what that's going to mean? That's going to mean that when a student shows up either online or face-to-face and they bought their iPad, they're going to say, I bought this iPad and my instructor made me use it. Because we have stuff that's there. Now this is minimums. I know the creative talent in this room. And I know what you can do. Do whatever you want. I will help you build an iTunes U class that will support these activities. You can even organize them by activities. There's all kinds of things you can do in iTunes U to help your students navigate to the materials and apps that they need to do the activity that you designed in your class. So that's our goal at the end of this, is to launch you, to get you going, to think about that, and collectively bring these all together. And what I would like to do, I think Steve and I are talking about a date later in the semester. We're going to call you in again, and we're going to say, how's it going? And at that point, we're only going to require just one. Just at least bring in one, so we can all share what we're doing, and what we've thought about, and what we're thinking about, and look at it, critique it, kind of mess around with it and see if it's something that, just encourage each other on this journey that we're doing in terms of establishing this initiative. The rest of today is all about you doing some of this stuff now on your current device. And Steve's going to lead that. He's more of a technology teacher than I am. So he's going to lead you through the process of I think all of you have your iPads set up. But setting up an iTunes account, making sure you have an iTunes account to get apps. You have to have that account. And your cards? Okay. Do you want to announce that? Sure. Steve has gone ahead and has a gift for you in that, and we're going to set up the iTunes accounts, and we're going to get you into iTunes U and establish that on your iPad and download the iTunes U course, the companion course. Now, here's the coolest thing. Do you know who's leading this charge right now? These two right here. In the Mental Health 101 class, the students have to load an iTunes U course. They're already doing this. So we're front-loading this right to this new group of people, and they're leading the charge on this. And we'll just see what that looks like in a couple weeks.
You don't have to have front of the charge, right?
Get everybody behind